So what I thought I'd take are some trends, and I think you guys in the audience are probably going to know the answers to some of these trends. Some of you actually work for companies that are dealing with these trends as well. So let's see if we can find out the answers to some of these trends. So Coffee Mate, I have no idea what's going on here. My mum used to have this in the 70s, Coffee Mate, and it was, I guess, something reframed out of World War II coffee powder, I don't know, turned into a product. Why is it trending today? Can anyone tell me? I honestly have no idea, but it's been trending in the last months. Okay, so if anyone's looking for a trend, Coffee Mate's trending, and that's been trending for a good few months there. I don't know what this peak was. Maybe you can look at the news and find out what happened in January or February 2020.
The COVID one makes sense, doesn't it?
That could be COVID, yeah. That could be the...
might make sense, which is I'm stocking up.
Exactly, the hamster Kauf, as they call it in German.
The other thing, I mean, this is going from Norwegian experience, is the fact that everyone's kind of prepping for war. Sorry, my voice is stuck on microphone. Basically, like, there's actual war supplies, packs being sold in Norway, in Finland, in Germany, and places like that. Like, this emergency pack thing. I'm wondering if Coffee Mate's part of that kind of pack.
Could be. All right, well, we'll see if we can find out.
The term itself, Coffee Mate, just think of the sound of it. It makes sense. It sounds trendy.
Well, the naming of Coffee Mate, maybe there's a new definition. Maybe it's something, I don't know, new dating app.
Actually, might be.
Someone look it up, please, by the end of this panel.
There's a shortage.
Oh, right. Well, that would explain a lot, because TikTok's going to appear in a couple of these other trends, actually. Talk about...
There's nothing up.
Oh, right, okay. So it's coming out of TikTok. That's interesting, because TikTok is reframing a lot of things. I don't know, you'll probably notice this, Rory.
It could be it's delisted by Sainsbury's or Tesco. That would be another possibility. So people who are real obsessives.
As happened with a few other products recently. All right,
Yeah.
well, we'll consider that one. All right, Saudi Airlines. So above pre-COVID levels, I like the way that you can see the COVID levels here, and that's well above COVID levels. I don't know whether they're doing much. Are you guys working with Saudi Airlines at Ogilvy? Something's going on there. So
that could be related to the World Cup.
Ooh.
I think it's also got to do with the fact that the leader of Saudi has a tremendous $1 trillion of budget available for the 2030 vision that he has. Right. It is out of the world. It's like you're in a Star Wars universe, and they have strong ambitions. But personally, Saudi Airlines, being somebody who has flown with them, they offer supreme level of luxury at a very reasonable cost. You could say it's sometimes even a better deal than the likes of Emirates or Etihad, for example.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. They're not sponsoring, are they, today?
Oh, wish.
Sounds like it.
And no drunks.
Sounds like it. Prime drink. Now, I didn't know about this.
Yeah.
I thought, what the hell are Amazon doing? Are they selling alcohol now online? It took me a while to work this one out. This is completely bizarre. It's two, well, you know about it, I guess. One of them's a YouTuber, the other one, or they both influencers. I don't know. But, yeah. This is absolutely bizarre. And this also, I think in the UK, there was something to do with Aldi. There was a restricted flow of the drink. It was available, it wasn't available. It was on eBay for 10 times the amount. So
there is an account on TikTok about a guy from Wakefield that stocks this drink. And people from all over the country drive there, have their video taken. The guy's like, "Hi there, what's up?" He's got a really crude Yorkshire accent as well.
Oh, really?
And yeah, that kind of thing blew up as well. So people got famous, and they got their drink at £150 or £500, whatever they're willing to pay for that.
Yeah, crazy. The next one is rosemary oil. Actually, know what happened here? Does anyone know?
Yeah, hair oiling.
Another TikTok thing, right? Really? So it's the hair growth enhancement attributes of rosemary oil. So that blew up. I'm pretty sure if we looked at that in 2024, that's going to be a short-lived one. There's going to be something else. Right, this is absolutely bizarre, and I need someone to explain what's going on here. Work from home jobs, London. That's two different things.
No, London salary.
Exactly. Is it people that want the London salary and want to live in the... Right. Let's set up the panel. I've got 3 sets of data that I want to use to set up the questions we're going to talk about in the panel. I'll do it quite quickly. The first one is multi-marketplaces. Some of you here are involved with those. I looked at some data last year. DIY.com B&Q popped up as a very interesting case where effectively you can buy a position in organic search now. You can choose your URL, and there's a number of them. Here's 3 examples for the fire pit thing. One is The Range, doing an incredible job. One is DIY, and the other one's Amazon. And there's one dot on the right side, and that's the supplier here, Cheaper Online. That's where they sit in organic search. So they've bought themselves position in organic place. So we can discuss this. I think this is really important for 2023. The Range state that 30% of their products last summer were sold from third-party suppliers, so this is an important question there. I'll leave the questions, so you can bring up the questions afterwards, Kevin. The other thing is informational content on e-commerce domains, and again B&Q popped up because they have done a good job providing how-tos, informational content on their e-commerce site. Now, the reason I asked this question is because there are a lot of people offering informational content. A Good Housekeeping is a classic one. The Wirecutter, which are basically affiliate sales models. I want to ask the question: is there an opportunity for brands to capture this early stage traffic from customers in informational content? There's a couple of examples there. Holland & Barrett have the Health Hub, and DIY.com, their ideas advice section. This data comes from our Visibility Leaders project that we did last year. I'm doing another one on travel, which will come out end of March. I'll present it at Brighton SEO. So again, Kevin, you'll ask the questions there. My third question, which I think we should talk about, is brand search. And I'll be honest, I need your help. I don't understand what's good and what's bad in terms of brand search value. So here's 3 examples. Toys R Us, so they were rebought. I don't know who owns them, but the brand was bought, the website was bought, and they threw a whole load of new content on the website and said, we're back for Christmas. And I looked at the organics and I was like, you're not back for Christmas. They were nowhere. They basically were getting brand traffic and nothing else. So 32% of their traffic at the moment is brand traffic. If you want to know how I found that out, I can tell you afterwards. 71k brand clicks. Primark, which is effectively a fan website. They don't sell anything on Primark. Well, they do, actually. There's a couple of test things now where you can get, I think, children's stuff delivered. Interesting, the relaunch last year has been successful. 1.6 million brand clicks, 84% of their total. Is that good or bad? The brand sounds good as a percentage. But let's look at next. Go back one step. 1.6 million brand clicks for Primark. 4.1 million brand clicks for Next. That 0.4% is wrong. It's 20%. Sorry, I'm not sure how that error got in there. So my questions is, what's good, what's bad? Can you own the SERP with brand by filling up all the social media slots on a SERP? Those are the questions I want to ask there. Right, a couple of resources. I mentioned Visibility Leaders, which is basically going through all the domains that we've got. I've got a database of 60,000 directories within websites that are overperforming. That means the keywords for which they rank, most of them are ranking, a large percentage of them are ranking in page 1 where it's important to be ranking. We did retail last year, I'll do travel next. And the other thing is the Resignal e-commerce reports, which are updated, I think, twice a year, Kevin, which show the risers and fallers amongst a bucket of retail domains or brands. It's very interesting to see what's winning, what's losing. You can go in there and try and find blueprints for success. So, Kevin, should we get to it? I'll go back, sit down and shut up. I've done my bit.
Perfect. Okay, let's do some quick intros for the panelists as well, just to kick things off. And yeah, Khushal, would you like to start?
Hi, my name is Khushal. I'm a client partner at eSignal, and I work on e-commerce brands primarily.
Hey, I'm Alina Ghost. I am SEO freelancer, but have been doing SEO for like a dozen years now.
So I'm Gerry White. I've been in SEO for far too long. I actually worked on the Hungry House Just Eat acquisition. I also worked on and currently I work on a podcasting application which Rory has actually used himself, called Riverside, which is kind of quite scary. And my last job was a Norwegian supermarket, which is why I've got weird knowledge about Norwegian-related bits and pieces. But I've been around, done everything.
And Just Eat before that, right?
Yeah, so I mentioned that.
Oh, sorry.
Just eating.
Yeah. So I work for a an online marketing data company, Sistrix, in the marketing department. Mainly I do content marketing, but I do enjoy looking at the data.
Okay, and I'm Kevin, founder of Resignal. We're an e-commerce SEO agency and hosting today's event. So let's kick things off straight away and talk about the marketplaces. And I think this is something that seems to have taken off, but probably if we're going to sit here in 2 or 3 years' time, I think it's likely to be one of the bigger things that will be growing. And certainly from Steve's point of, if you're a product now looking to sell, I mean, in terms of reaching your customers, marketplaces are a great way to do it. So I don't know if anyone wants to start by just kind of talking about that experience, about if you would use marketplaces to sell your products, or even from the other side, using the marketplace approach to grow your brand offering. Because I know some examples like B&Q, Next have really opened up how many products they sell kind of outside of their own, in order to increase their inventory, and then as a result of that, generating a lot more traffic and sales. So yeah, I don't know. Gerry, do you have any experience on that side?
Yeah, I mean, Just Eat, of course, is probably a prime example.
Of course,
I mean, we have like sponsored, I don't work there anymore, so I can't talk too much about what we do now. But basically, yeah, I mean, we had sponsored placed, we have, from the perception of the restaurants, big chains particularly, like McDonald's and KFC and people like that, it was amazing just how much traffic we were getting as brand traffic from those people. And I have to be honest, when McDonald's first came on the site, my brain just went, who the hell is ordering McDonald's delivery? It turns out a lot of people, but I won't question that. I mean, whatever you want to order is fine. But the thing that I felt was actually kind of going back a little bit, but basically it's almost the reverse. Google kind of did this thing where they said to us, hey, by the way, what we can do is almost bypass you, and we can kind of sell directly from Google straight to, so you Google it, and then you can order straight on Google and all the rest of it. And my brain just went, but suddenly we lose that kind of the brand, the engagement, the customer. And I think this is the big problem with kind of like the marketplaces almost. If I buy something from Amazon, I have no relationship with that supplier. I only have a relationship with Amazon. And as a brand, that is the thing that would always make me the most nervous. I want to be able to kind of retarget. I mean, Rory said about the fact that, Land Rover want to be able to target their customers, but if they don't know who their customers are, how do they kind of maintain that relationship and everything else like that?
Yeah. Alina?
I think from my point of view, it just seems like a survival point now. So like, in order to be able to sell anything, you have to be a part of this marketplace. So either you're selling onto a marketplace, and then you're actually offering the logistics to this marketplace, or the marketplace has to become a marketplace, so like a brand. So, for example, one I worked for was Amara, and they were just decided, okay, they used to be a luxury interiors brand, and then all of a sudden they've got all of these brands coming in their marketplace. So I feel like they needed to do that to survive as well. So it works both ways. So either it's for logistics or it's for the marketing purposes.
I think you're right, they need to make a call. It's not just an add-on. It's kind of a strategic business decision that they need to go one way or the other on.
Yeah. My example would be from an example one of my colleagues coded when he was doing a competitor analysis for one of the brands that we work with. So like, for example, if you're a brand that is starting out new, it will take you time to get to that level of brand maturity and get that organic visibility. So you need to be dominant in some of the marketplaces as well. And we've got tools that are able to track what type or what was your inventory size in a marketplace, for example, a year ago versus what it is today. And we see that some of the competitors that we felt are now becoming a bit of a threat to us have started dominating that place because they've partnered with the likes of marketplaces like JD Sports, and Zalando, for example. And you can see that, you know, they are leveraging multiple sources, not using just organic as their main source of getting the visibility. And in order to be more visible, you need to have that level of marketplace visibility as well to be able to be recognized by like large scale of audiences as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Steve, do you want to talk about the trends you've spotted in terms of the marketplaces? Is there anything you have today?
Well, I think the most important thing is that you can now assess other people's URLs as you know, potential for placing your product. We can see how visible URLs and for what keywords they rank from, where they rank in organic search. So you now have a possibility to assess them. I mean, one of my questions is how on earth do you do that? You have to assess not just the visibility of a URL, but the cost, the competition that's within that URL as well. I don't know, Alina, maybe you've got experience of that. How do people assess where they position, where they place their product, and which market? How do you choose a marketplace?
Yeah, good question. It depends. I think from like a Debenhams point of view, the fact that they were bought out by Boohoo and having to add in all of those brands and decide where each one sits, essentially it's just good to understand how like even the brands within Boohoo and then the outer brands that are not associated with Boohoo sit onto the Debenhams site, and how the Boohoo ones are competing against each other on the Debenhams site, even though they're actually partner brands, and how that would cost. It goes back to logistics, commission, essentially, yeah, visibility is a really good one. Debenhams has such a strong brand, perhaps you're even getting more of an audience, especially when it came to like the Boohoo younger target audience as well. So I think it just depends on what you're trying to achieve, how much money is. Ultimately, that's if they've got like the logistics there to actually widespread to a particular audience or to particular like target people who are actually going to buy that product, then why not go for that particular brand?
Yeah.
What you said about like the expansion and traffic.
I actually think I've got loads of questions on this, but I think it might be a good chance to actually open up to the audience, and if they have any questions to do with yeah, kind of whether it's marketplaces or some of the information that Steve's shared, or yeah, kind of any other questions that you have, just to pick the brains of our SEO panelists. So yeah, if anyone wants to raise a hand if they have a question, then go for it. Here's a chance.
We're talking about big brands here, but actually there are loads of small brands in the UK who would love to be selling on marketplaces, but what ends up happening a lot of the time is that big constraints are made on those small brands, like having to offer free delivery, having to offer free returns, having to offer delivery within 2 days, and all of that stuff costs that small brand, where margins often are really squeezed already. So how can these people join big marketplaces but not necessarily have those constraints made on them, or is that never going to be possible?
I think you need to pick the right marketplace for you, really. There are some who would actually offer to take your products and to deliver it if there was that delivery issue. But I think that's a really good question. It's a very difficult one to know, and from like, well, I personally would have lots of different eggs in different baskets, basically, rather than just go with the one marketplace. Actually try out different things and see what actually is right for you, and then see whether it's like cost, value, as well as a customer service one as well.
Amazon themselves do actually do some kind of logistics thing for you. I don't fully understand it, by the way. I'm not. That's not my kind of field of expertise. But there are people around who know more about it. I think Luke, probably speaking later on today, he's person to the chat to as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, basically, yeah, some of these will actually facilitate it with you as much as anything else. But yeah, so it's definitely worth something to kind of find out from them as well.
Mm-hmm. One thing, just to switch the subject a little bit, is I think Khushal can speak about this, but we've noticed a big shift from a Google algorithm perspective in terms of the weighting behind product queries or product pages ranking in Google much more predominantly than category pages it used to. And yeah, I don't know if you want to kick off with that one, Khushal, but I think there's a lot of interesting trends we've spotted.
So I think over the last August onwards, or like the later part of, the earlier part of H2 in 2022, we saw that there was a massive shift on PDPs actually, product landing pages.
Yeah.
Always got that confused. Outranking some of the commercial category pages, and there was a lot of cannibalization going on. It started primarily with the US market initially, but we started seeing that trend go through in the UK, France, and Germany as well. And it has come to a point now where we feel like there is a direct cannibalization going on between what Google decides as the best page to serve for the query that you've served. Historically, for a random generic keyword, you would ideally see more of a category page that would give you bulk of different products in a grid form so that you can choose. But if Google has started to take that decision to decide on your behalf what is the most accurate page for you to be served, don't get me wrong, the product pages do actually get a better conversion rate as well, which is in a way good for the brand. But at the same time, it kind of is killing the purpose because the copy or the content on the product landing pages is also very similar to what you would find in all the marketplaces and even sometimes on Amazon. So where is that quality bit coming from? And that is a bit of a significant issue that we need to battle internally as well. But we, as SEOs, need to evolve from focusing purely on just category level content, just making sure that we've got both the places intact, and not like betting all our strategy on just one particular segment in general.
And equally, not just text either, it could be images in terms of what's...
You earlier mentioned about informational content. I have a different theory, but I have spoken to brands that have a totally different theory about that, because we feel that is a way to actually amplify your commercial presence. But at the same time, for some brands, they don't do it, but they are still doing a significant job. I've got examples in the eCommerce report that obviously you can have a look at from the top 10 winners for the last 52 weeks or last year's worth of data. You will see a clear example of brands that don't actually do informational content, but they are significantly performing better.
Interesting, yeah. Alina, I don't know if you have any information.
Yeah, I was going to mention, let's not forget that we've had algorithm updates for review product content specifically, so I think we're definitely going towards that way, and the conversion rate is better. But then, clearly it comes back to the intent. Maybe more people are more likely to be showing to spend more time on the product pages and no longer want the PLPs, basically the listing pages.
The contrasting shift when you do a like-to-like comparison, the difference is so significant. We've actually got some examples to show that it's actually enormous with how much visibility and clicks it has taken from the category pages, and it has totally merged onto some of your top 5 products that are being sold on the website. So that shift alone was so significant. It was actually a worrying point, but at the same time also opens us to new avenues and opportunities. I think it originated from a report that came out from SEO Clarity. Obviously we can share that link across as well. So.
Cool. Yeah, Gerry, I don't know if there's any information you've seen around. Or
that actually did impact us. I worked for an online supermarket similar to Ocado based in Norway, and what was frustrating about it is the fact that we would find people landing on products that weren't necessarily delivered to that particular area, because we didn't have all the same products in all the same areas, because we had localization, regionalization issues. We couldn't deliver some beers to some places because it was a high alcohol content. Online delivery, by the way, in Norway for alcohol is the weirdest thing ever. It's just the rules and complications of it are mind-blowing. But what we did find was the amount of times people were landing on stuff, and that's killed our conversion rate, basically. And we didn't really have a smart solution, because we needed to get them to put in the delivery information and back and forth and things like that. So our conversion rates were killed by that. We didn't have a great solution for it other than trying to push people up again to come back down again, which is not necessarily a great user experience.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Has anyone else got questions from the audience? Because we've got time for a couple more if people wanted to see that. Yep.
Hi, Neil Forrest here from Gorgeous. Although I'm here from Gorgeous, I also run my own e-com brand, and this is more for that. So going back to think about the third-party sellers that we're just talking about with marketplaces, the other thing that I'm looking at is the affiliate networks. if any of you have experience with affiliate networks, how have you combined this with your SEO strategy? And if you have any insights or strategies there that you could share, that would be really interesting to hear about.
I can jump in if you like.
Go for it.
I think it's very different. SEO is more for like your organic traffic, whereas affiliates is like you're paying somebody else to bring traffic into your site, so you're giving them a bit of a commission. As a small e-commerce brand, I think basically reach out to as many affiliates as you can and see which one works for you. Like I'm just about like testing and seeing which one works, but like if you're very small, basically, it might be worth looking at the smaller ones rather than the big one first. So don't go for the hot UK deals straight away.
Yeah, affiliates are great, except for the fact that, no offence to any affiliates over here, but they are, how can I phrase this, the spammiest of people ever. And don't get me wrong, you know, if I could make a spammy site that earned me a residual income and all the rest of it, I would definitely be doing it. But when you're doing it, one of the things to kind of be aware of is often they're stealing your own traffic. What I mean by that is that, you know, one of my favourite examples was somebody who created a site that said something along the lines of, does Just Eat take PayPal? And then had an affiliate link to us, which basically said, no, Just Eat doesn't take PayPal. And we were paying them ludicrous amounts of money for traffic we should have been having anyway, and the traffic was coming through to us. And, you know, to me, a lot of affiliate marketing is because we're doing things dumb. And it's almost like us paying somebody else to fix a mistake that we should be not having. My point is, if you're looking at affiliates, make sure it's people that are going to be discovering you, people that are not going to be finding you anyway. The other kind of worst one is the fact that whenever I get to kind of a checkout point, is a certain box it says enter coupon bot here or enter offer code here or something like that. Weirdly enough, there's huge search volume for that particular phrase and your brand. That exact, whatever you put in that box, and you'll get to a site which says, no, we don't have any affiliates for this offer or something like that, and they'll click you straight back into it, and suddenly you're paying somebody else for a sale, and that's just ludicrous. But sorry, that's just a rant, because you know, I've seen us paying, and there's always the guy who basically manages the affiliate channel kind of going, look how much money I'm bringing in, and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, but, sorry, I tend to rant. But carry on.
Okay, I'll move to another question because I feel like we could go on a while otherwise. But yeah, if anyone has a question, definitely raise your hand. Or if you're in the top tier, just shout, because I don't think we have a microphone up there. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I think, are you talking about the crossover between the PPC and search?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's, well, it's kind of a new thing that we're actually practicing, obviously, is just coming up with recommendation on a PPC and SEO crossover reports. I have to thank one of my colleagues, Callum, for that. He actually came up with a very sophisticated methodology. So you need to have the exact data from your paid search campaigns, for example, for the last quarter, half a year, depending on the budget and the amount of queries that you want to target. Usually you will see that for the branded terms where you don't have like a position 1, for example, that is where you can actually cut down or actually amplify some of the budget. But like there are a lot of different methodologies that actually highlight where you could be making savings on how much you're overspending on a query that you are going to rank anyways for number 1 position, for example, unless your competitor is actually bidding on those terms. And then also that report highlights areas where you're not going to be in the organic upfront for like you're on position 4 for something. You would want to be on page 1, but that is where you could have opportunities outlined for the paid search team to actually utilize or redirect some of that budget so that you could start appearing for that. Maybe the conversion rate is not optimal or the best that you're looking for, and even the quality scores are the bits that matter there, but at least you are utilizing that budget and redirecting it into a proper, appropriate place where you're actually getting more visibility and more clicks at the end of the day. If it translates into more traffic and revenue, that is a plus bonus point, but at least you're managing your campaigns and the social, the SEO element of that more periodically and working together, basically. something that a lot of brands and people talk about but don't do it in practice. The main idea is to actually implement these changes and work together with your paid search team, basically. Sorry.
Yeah, what
Just
he
to add
said.
to that question, when it comes to defensibility of brand search, and like, I think when people are bidding on your keywords, and you are ranking on the top, you still sometimes want to defend the brand, and sort of what's your take on how much do you sort of have to focus on defensibility when it comes to like paid search versus your own ranking? I don't know.
I would like to be very clear here. I am not the expert on this subject matter, so I would like to say that I don't have the necessary knowledge for that. But like I just want to clarify that out there. I have known brands that could make significant amount of savings. Like I used to work for in Dubai, and Toyota was one of our brands. They would bid on Toyota all the time, regardless of the fact that they never had to, but they've just felt like it was a thing that they had to do just to make sure that wherever the situation is, regardless of the SERP results and the landscape of search is like, they are always dominant and on top out there. So I don't have the right answer for you, but like some brands, they might have a different policy on working on that terms.
I mean, when I was at Just Eat, we always bid on the brand, because if we didn't bid on the brand, Deliveroo, Uber Eats would push us down. And you know, what we tended to do was we tended to bid as low as we possibly could, because we knew that it would make it very, very expensive for them. So basically, it's not just about appearing there, it's about making it expensive for the competitor to bid on your brand. Because Google's kind of evil in the fact that all they want to do is make lots and lots of money. That's, you know, terrible thing for them. And they will literally make it incredibly expensive to bid on somebody else's brand if you kind of just push them up a little bit more. So basically, the only thing I would say is if you bid on brands, it's usually worth it because of the fact that you're making it too expensive for everyone else to do it. I mean, one of the things you'll probably be aware of is as soon as you switch off brand bidding, your organic traffic goes up through the roof and everything like that. So, you know, the best way to increase organic traffic is to turn off brand bidding. But if the company is losing money overall, I hate buzzwords, but synergy and all that kind of stuff is really important. But yeah.
Okay, Alina, how do you find the SEO and PPC synergies?
Yeah, I was just going to say find the sweet spot.
Yeah.
It's not what one thing fits everybody. I think a lot of the time I would recommend turning off the brand because it's an easy save. However, I understand your competitors. So I think personally, perhaps have a look at your numbers. Take all the numbers that you've got, put them in a graph, have a look at them, use good old Excel. How much money have you got to spend? Like, put your pot in the places that you know would convert the best, basically. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, I think we've got time for one last question, then we're heading into the break. So yeah, let's go for it.
So lots of times when we talk about working with PPC, it comes down to brand testing, and a lot of people have talked about brand testing. But in my experience, I've found that every time we've done that, the overall conversion drops. And because Google isn't really like, now in PPC, you can't see all the positions, you can only see top 4 and all of that, so it's not really clear. Is there any other way, apart from brand testing, that we can work with, like, I don't know, PPC, any other of the digital channels from an SEO perspective, if anyone's doing anything interesting?
Email comes to mind. You can use a lot of email data to see what people group products with. So, for example, if they buy like a cushion with, I don't know, a lamp, for example, and then you can actually use that data to potentially add some internal linking within those categories. So that's a really quick, easy one that you can use from a different channel.
I was going to go with social. One of the things that you've got to be very aware of is the fact that Google now, when you do a brand search, you have the top of the box is often you, and then immediately underneath there, it's like the Twitter feed and everything like that. Often you get YouTube videos and everything like that. Basically, look at the SERPs. I think one of the biggest issues with using tools like Sistrix is the fact that nobody actually looks at the SERPs. I know that you kind of advocate like the fact that you do look at the entire page and everything. But I do feel like a lot of people use the tools without actually looking at the data behind it. And I think it's critical to kind of make sure you do look at things like the Twitter box and other bits and pieces like that. Because, if you don't look at the SERP as a whole, you will miss out. And one of my biggest frustrations is the fact that a lot of companies out there, they don't take advantage of that Twitter organic space because they just feel like, oh, our target market isn't on Twitter, or people don't use Twitter in this country, or something like that. So, you know, there's huge opportunities there. And making sure all of this works together. One of my biggest issues that I had at Facebook, at Just Eat for a long while, was they kept linking to the wrong Facebook account, despite we had schema and other bits and pieces, and never got that fixed. But, yeah.
Yeah, Steve, is there anything to add on that? I know we had the same conversation yesterday about how you can use the tools to point you in the right direction, but actually looking at the SERPs, I think, is quite often overlooked.
Yeah, absolutely. When we calculate the CTR predictions for each SERP, we're actually looking at the format of each SERP, evaluating how much space is taken by ads, by Twitter, by YouTube, all those things, and recalculating the CTR curve for every single SERP. Every single day we get that data. So look at the click predictions on the next to the search volume on Sistrix, and you'll see our tailored CTR curve in use there. It's really important. And like you said, understanding what spaces are available to you in the SERP, that Twitter space. Oh, we don't use Twitter, but well, we're going to put someone else in there if you're not there. So yeah, it's very important.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, on that note, I think we are out of time, unfortunately. It probably could go on for twice the amount, but our panellists are going to stay around for the day, so kind of if you've got any questions, then definitely grab them and ask. And otherwise, let's have a round of applause for the panellists. And